but just really nice insight to see. You know, obviously, I mean, Federer and Nadal pretty much played that role the whole weekend. You know, and I'm sure that there's lots that links into to the cycle and lots that links into what we're going through. It was good to see.
Yeah, I did see the Fognini one, and yeah, it's obviously awesome to see those guys so into it, you know. And one interesting thing I would say from my memory with the Federer one is I think, yeah, he was talking about having the positive body language. I remember that. One thing I would say is within the way we like to work is, I think towards the end he said, okay, don't, basically something like, don't feel frustrated. You know, just accept when he hits a winner or whatever.
Yeah.
He was playing sock, right? And so in that's where, as coaches, from our philosophy and our idea on things, what we find works better is definitely the actions. Like, okay, we're trying to have positive actions and respond with positive actions, but how do we skill players to be able to, say, have the positive body language? And within our idea on things, we wouldn't be asking them to, in that moment, we wouldn't be asking them to change the way they're feeling, or to try to say accept when he hits a winner. Don't feel frustrated about it, was sort of my interpretation of Federer's advice. Yeah. Whereas what we would say, and we think would work better for the majority of players, is to go, okay, between points, when he hits that winner, I want you to notice what the passengers are saying. They're saying, "Oh, you're so lucky." Okay, and so then we're going to do our be present activities, where we're not asking them to accept the situation. We're asking them to accept the feelings that they automatically show up to do with the situation. And we're asking them to try to do something between the point, which will make them more skilled to respond with a positive action. So it's slightly different, but it's a key difference that with.
It's a massive difference. So would you say, so accept the situation would not be a thing to say to a player?
So for us, the in reality, I mean, obviously we would all love them to accept the situations, but we know with our players, it's not reality, you know, so the goal is, this is an overall, the coaching aim, right? We're trying to, over time, we are trying to communicate with them on a day-to-day basis. We're trying to model, and we're trying to implicitly over time shape the way that they do see the situations. Where if you're working with Fognini for a year, you would hope that in a year you can have these conversations like Federer did then, on a day-to-day basis. Like, hey, you know, when he hits that lucky, let's see if we can, perhaps, can you see it slightly differently, and so forth. And over time, we hope that Fognini will start to accept and get different passengers on the bus over time. But in the match situation, in the heat of battle, it's unrealistic to think that we're going to be able to say to a player, don't feel frustrated, don't have that automatic thought at the end of the point that that was lucky, or I'm so unlucky. We put that in the back of our mind, and we go, okay, how can we shape this guy's perceptions over time? But in the heat of the battle, we accept that this is the way this player sees these situations now. So how do we help this guy to respond better to those difficult passengers, and accept those passengers for what they are, and develop the skill of responding better to those passengers that will show up. So that's key. And I would say it's pretty hard for a lot of coaches to wrap our heads around that difference. But if you can get the idea of it over time, it's key, you know. And if at the end of the day with that one, if I was advising Federer, I would say, yep, get him to you want him to focus, you want him to try to respond with different actions, and body language would be an example. But you're not going to do that by telling him you're not going to get Fognini to see that situation differently. I mean, if anyone could do it, Federer could do it, just because Fognini's sitting there and going, this is Federer. It may have that immediate effect, but for us as coaches on a day-to-day basis, we want to shape players' perceptions over time. But on the day of the match, I'm not going to be going to the player thinking that I'm going to be able to change the passengers that come on the bus. I want him or her to just practice skills of accepting the passengers, accepting that thought of I'm so unlucky, accepting the feeling of frustration, and doing activities that help them to still commit to a helpful action on the next point while they've got those difficult passengers. And that's a key of be present, and the idea of having awareness and acceptance in the match situation for whatever shows up. And that's where mindfulness, the whole philosophy of mindfulness is to be accepting of whatever shows up, to be an observer of whatever shows up. So